Wear in the bearings should be checked periodically. While it may not be necessary to check the wear at every routine 3 to 6 months inspection period, all bearings should be checked at least once a year for wear. For wear measurement, the bearing should be stacked on a flat, solid surface with a lower cup supported in a base fixture. This base fixture must be counterbored for cage clearance and allow free rotation of the bearing. Anytime the bearing is stacked up, whether for wear measurements, in which case the cup and cone spacers are left out, or for actual assembly in the chock, the proper stacking sequence of the parts must be followed in order for the bearing to have the correct setting or running clearance. The Timken company uses a lettering system to ensure proper stacking. In the 4-row roll neck bearing, the parts are lettered A through E and must be kept in alphabetical order. The bearing can be stacked with either the A end down or the E end down, but the parts must be kept in proper sequence. The B cup spacer must go in the B gap, and the D cup spacer must go in the D gap. The C cone spacer can only go between the double cones in the C gap, with the flange side down to keep the spacer centered. Every spacer-adjusted bearing has a serial number, and all parts of that bearing must have the same number. The parts are not interchangeable. In addition to the serial number, there is also a suffix letter on the part to tell its proper position within the bearing. It is necessary to add weight to the bearing being measured in order to properly seat the parts. The weight should be made to pilot on the bearing cup outside diameter and counterboard to clear the cage. Bearings with considerable service especially need this weight, as their parts have become somewhat out of round and can be difficult to seat properly. The weight applied should be equal to the weight of the bearing being measured. Timken Company representatives are available to help design and demonstrate the use of these fixtures, as well as instruct maintenance personnel on the bearing measurement procedure. Note that the lifting chain is kept in place with some slack at all times. After weighting the bearing, a light oil should be applied to the bearing while rotating to help seat the rollers. Considerable rotation of the bearing may be necessary to seat the parts fully, particularly on those bearings with long service records.